on events such as this and the World Athletics Indoor Tour that we have. If you were watching Eurosport last week, you'll have seen on Friday the meeting in Karlsruhe. We saw some outstanding performances there. One or two of the athletes competing tonight were there in Germany last week. And, well, tonight, I guess the focus, Tim, is very much, or largely, on the sprints, as we always tend to see at Dusseldorf, men's and women's 60 metres, men's and women's sprint hurdles. We can see we've got a couple of heats in all those events, but we'd also have some exciting stuff in the field. You mentioned the pole vault, which, I mean, it's a field which would almost do justice to a global championship with, as you mentioned, Duplantis starting his indoor season. Bit of a shame Peter Lisek, who was supposed to compete, he pulled out about 48 hours ago, and Sam Kendricks, who I guess we finally learned last week is actually human after all, with that below par performance.
No, absolutely right. You can see the officials preparing the barriers for the men's 60-metre hurdles. 2 heats coming at us shortly. That'll be followed by the men's 1,500 metres. That's a high-caliber race, including one very interesting character in the figure of Philip Ingebrigtsen, the 26-year-old Norwegian, who is a European champion from 2016, one of that trio of Ingebrigtsen brothers, the Norwegians, setting the world middle distance alight the last couple of years.
So this is the lineup for the first of the 2 heats in the men's 60-metre hurdles. The qualifying criteria, just to reinforce that point, it's the first 2 in each of the 2 heats who are guaranteed a spot in the final later on in the programme. The men's 60-metre hurdles, that should be a cracking final coming up at about 20 to 9 local time. That's 20 to 8 if you're watching in the UK, and there will be spots for 4 fast losers over the 2 heats as well. So let's go through this list. We saw Aaron Mallet of the United States, a 7:59 man already this season. Then is Yaqub Al-Yoha of Kuwait, who's been in fine form, won in Sindelfingen in the last week or so. Konstantinos Dovlidis of Greece, a perennial performer at this level. Here's Baldo Schuch of Hungary, a man who's won 2 Hungarian titles. He too has been in the winner's circle already this winter, having won a meeting in Bratislava. And there's Marius Propst of Germany, right on the outside in lane 8. So let's go through the full lineup for you. Stefan Folzer of Germany in 1, Michael Abasouyi of Belgium in 2, Aurel Manga, perhaps the favourite of France, in 3. He was a world indoor bronze medalist 2 years ago. Aaron Mallet, United States in 4, Al-Yoha of Kuwait in 5, Duvalides of Greece in 6, Schuch of Hungary in 7, and Levalt of Germany in lane 8. The first 2, remember, guaranteed a spot in the final later on, but such is the nature of this event, which thrives on not just speed, but that rhythm between the barriers. That 3-stride pattern between the barriers means that you simply can't afford to take it easy at any point. So look out for Munga there with a headband. He caught the first hurdle and Folzer has gone down, and now Munga's run into trouble. Well, my word, Al-Yoha came through for Kuwait, but that was, I guess, early on in the year. Fair old demolition derby. Al-Yoha, a very comfortable winner indeed. Folzer of Germany, he tipped up at the first barrier. Munga made an early mistake and then came a cropper. So we have lost 1 or 2 significant athletes here. Look at Munga, you can see him on the right. Maybe he was slightly distracted, but these guys are professionals. You've got to be used to that. Munga, in the end, got in such a horrible mess. He just ran through that 4th barrier. But Al-Yoha, he had the most comfortable ride of all. 7.60, the winning time.
Yeah, pretty impressive, wasn't it? Quite the opposite of Munga. I'm not sure that Munga didn't maybe clash elbows with Aaron Mallet beside him. They were in adjacent lanes. We're getting very, very close to each other there, and that can be incredibly distracting, put you off your rhythm dramatically. So only the first 2 go through by right. Second heat coming up. So the infield rather crowded and busy, as you'd expect in the Dusseldorf arena. Always the way indoors. It's an intense, cosy atmosphere and indoor tracks. Looks very small, doesn't it? The athletes to the top left of your picture just getting ready for the second heat of the men's 60-metre hurdles. We had a very eventful first heat just a couple of minutes ago, won by Yaqub Al-Yoha of Kuwait in a personal best of 7.60. Second and guaranteeing his spot through to the final later on was Duvalides of Greece, 7.71. There is the lineup for that second heat. David King goes for Great Britain in 1, Isaiah Moore in 2, Balnuvite of Germany 3. Then Jared Eaton, highly ranked on the world scene, Eaton at the moment with 7.43, his personal best, although that was a couple of years back. He's in 4. There is David King, 3 times UK champion, the man from the City of Plymouth club, coached by James Hillier, and a semi-finalist at the European Indoors last year in Glasgow. 25 years old, and who seems to be a serial semi-finalist these days. European Championships in 2018 in Berlin, remember those? World Indoors in 2018 as well. He was a semi-finalist in Birmingham, and then at the European Indoors last winter. Isaiah Moore of the USA Long Jump World Championship bronze medalist at youth level back in 2013, close to his personal best already this year with a win in Mondeville, 7.80. Eric Balnuvite of Germany goes in 3, big roar for him in front of the home crowd. Won in Chemnitz just recently in 7.83, and then Jared Eaton, 7.63 already this winter. That was in his last race where he won in Mondeville, the man from Pennsylvania. Gregor Traber goes in lane 5, 5th in those European Championships back in 2018 in front of the home crowd. This is first run of the winter for Traber. 6 times German champion, by the way. Damian Żykier of Poland goes in 6th. World University Games bronze medalist a couple of years back. Close to his personal best in Paris, although he was only 5th just recently in 7.72. Hassan Fofana goes in 7, lane 7, the Italian. 8 times Italian champion. Just one race to his name this year. That was a win in Ancona in 7.83. And the lineup completed there by the German Tim Eckermann in lane 8, just 19 years old. But ran a personal best in his last race with a win in Leverkusen. Has been getting quicker with each race so far this winter, and it helps so much if you have a series of races to lead into a competition. Well, Jared Eaton is 6th fastest in the world this year with his 7.63. He is the fastest in the field on paper this season. But it's a useful lineup, this. Remember, just the first 2 plus 4 non-automatic qualifiers go through to the final later on. Qualified definitely from the first heat, Al-Yoha of Kuwait and Duvalides of Greece. Balnuvite in 3, Eaton in 4, Traber in 5. Żykier was him in 6. Pretty good start there in lane 3 from Balnuvite. Oh dear, Jared Eaton and all sorts of problems. This has gone against the form book, my word. I think the win they're going to Gregor Traber. 7.70. It's not as quick as the first heat. That was one in 7.60. But Traber there, well, I don't know what happened to Jared Eaton. I'll have to look at it again. I don't know if he hit the first barrier. He didn't get the greatest of starts by look of things. I don't know when he flew in. Maybe a bit of jet lag in those legs, but it wasn't, didn't go to form at all. 7.70 for Traber. And his season's opener, a very, very satisfying start to his indoor season. Short, sharp indoor season.
Well, there's a result from earlier. Winning one of those 2 heats, the 800, the Qatari.
Well, we can take a look now at one of the 800-metre races. And this one with Amol Tuka going here. One of the sensations of recent years of tulip running outdoors. Second in the World Championships last summer, Tuka, the man from Bosnia-Herzegovina. He's right at the back at the moment to right of picture in this relatively small field, 7-man field. Look out too for Adam Kajot of Poland. He's right in the middle in 4th place at the moment as the pacemaker here. Evans Kipchumba churns out a very quick early tempo. Good to see, actually, because indoor racing can get so physical over 800 metres. They're moving at speed, and those tight bends and barging and shoving, it can get really pretty dangerous. But Kipchumba here has gone off very quickly indeed. He's better known as a 1,500-metre runner. He's doing a good job here, Martin, by the looks of things.
Yeah, keep your eye on the clock. Anything just outside 50 seconds is very, very swift indeed. 51.86, that would be pretty good outdoors when you're dealing with a 400-metre oval. So it really is a burn-up. It's a real test. Kajot's looking very relaxed, though, isn't he there, lying in 4th place as the pacemaker moves to one side.
Well, 30 years old now, Kajot, such an experienced performer, the reigning world indoor champion. Unable to defend that title in a few weeks' time in Nanjing with those championships cancelled. This is the opening race of his indoor season. The Reuter leads through the bell then, 1:19, certainly much, much slower that look, 27.6, and Reuter kicks off the front. He slowed it on purpose, clearly felt he'd got an acceleration in his legs. He has already run 1:45.39 this winter. He's been in wonderful form and looking great. As Reuter, the fastest man in the world this winter so far in this short indoor season. Under threat though now from Kajot. The pole can't get there. Loses by a metre to Reuter. And that a very impressive run indeed. 1:46.13. Smart racing there from Mark Reuter, the 23-year-old German. Well, competing in front of his home fans is the German Mark Reuter. Not a name I'm that familiar with, I must say, but he's handed a classy field there. A good defeat from his perspective.
A relatively late entrant here into the shot competition. Thomas Stanek almost came in as a replacement, or perhaps that isn't how it was intended, but we lost Peter Lisek on the same day we acquired Thomas Stanek. And Stanek, that's big, that's getting out towards 21 metres. An outstanding effort there. I can tell you that the pole vault, the pole has gone up to 4 metres 55, so we will certainly be there very, very shortly indeed.
Well, this is Bukowiecki in round 5, and that's big from Bukowiecki, very close to the 21-metre line. Well, he opened with 20.62, then a 20.51. He fouled out in the 3rd round, but both Stanek and he chasing Mihailovic's 2nd round 21.52, the longest throw in the world this year by the Croatian. Stanek 20.89 in round 2. We just saw Bukowiecki 20.92 with that 5th round effort.
And this is looking back at that winning throw from the Croatian. Out there to 21 metres 52. That coming in the 2nd round. He followed it up with a 21.43 in the 6th round. So he did have, by some margin, the longest efforts on the day. Indeed, he went beyond 21 metres with 4 of his 6 efforts. 21.37 in the 3rd round, 21.05 in the 5th. So, an emphatic victory, therefore, Filip Mihailovic. So there is confirmation of that. Longest put in the world this year from the winner.
Well, the next event on the track after the 60-metre hurdles, the men's 1,500 metres, and in what is becoming tradition now in indoors, the athletes being introduced.
Yes, we've got the sparklers on either side. We've got a field of 11 athletes going in this 1,500 metres. Saulo Donez there of Spain, who finished 6th in the 800 metres at Karlsruhe last Friday. Here's one of the Germans, Timo Bennett, wearing that yellow vest, a former World Student Games champion. Next we'll see another of the Germans. This is Marius Propst, and has won 2 national titles, a 3:39 man indoors. Here's one of the favourites, Boaz Kiprugut of Kenya. Look out for him, wearing those green and blue colours. Well, this man, Kamari Taki, could be anything. Former World Youth Champion, former World Junior Champion, according to my records, having his first experience of running indoors. Javinski there of Poland, he's the pacemaker. Debiani, the Belgian, 3:39.91 last season. We do have a triumvirate of Kenyans. Vincent Kibet, 9th in the World Indoor Championships at this event 2 years ago. And here is one of the Ingebrigtsen clan. This one, the winner of the European outdoor title at this distance 4 years ago when Amsterdam hosted those European Championships. So there is the field. 11 athletes. And it will be 7.5 laps of this 200-metre oval. You can see Ingebrigtsen lining up right on the outside. Alongside him, Vincent Kibet. So it will be interesting to follow the fortunes of Kamari Taki, just 20 years old, wearing the black vest. You can see, or say the black vest, it's actually dark green, but with black shorts. Having his first experience of running indoors, it is so different. Not only the tactics, but also the way you actually have to approach running on the oval bank bends. You have to run hard into the bends and then run hard out of them again. And if you are going to take any sort of breather, it tends to be down the straights. But here is the Pole, Adam Chewinski, out on his own, the pacemaker. It's a fairly lonely task. He's been given a mission, Tim, but he's looking over his shoulder as if to say, well, I'm playing the game, but nobody else is.
Well, that's exactly right. Yes, it is pretty quick, isn't it? Looking very smooth indeed is Ingebrigtsen in third place as we look at that picture. The pacemaker out of shot, of course. But this will be an interesting test for Ingebrigtsen, his first race of the winter. His indoor best, relatively modest, 3:38. That was here in Dusseldorf last year. Now, back to the pole vault, Jakobsen. No. So
the pacemaker, largely in irrelevance, through no fault of his own. Nobody's really followed, so the race proper is Kibet out in front. Kiprigut there in second place. Ingebrigtsen in third. Taki, the youngster, the former world junior, the former world U champion there in fourth place with that very fast cadence. He is that little bit shorter than the three men in front of him. You can also see the Andre, the Brazilian, lying in fifth place at the moment. But it will be Kibet in a moment who will be left on his own. Kibet in first place. Ingebrigtsen just trying to move on to the shoulder of Kiprigut there in second place. Probst leading the race of the Germans some way back. But it is three Kenyans up against the Norwegian. And now Ingebrigtsen just moving on to the shoulder there of Kibet, starting to wind things up. Now, do the men behind have anything to deliver? But at the moment, you have to say Ingebrigtsen looking very controlled in front. 2 laps to go, 400 metres remaining in this men's 1500 metres.
They went through 800 Martin, 154.37, so pretty good pacemaking. I think the pack were a little way behind the pacemaker at that point. But you're right, this is a very long run from home for Ingebrigtsen. He's testing them here, using his strength. 2:53 at 1200. So that last 400 metres, around 58-59 seconds.
Taki, the former world junior champion, showing his inexperience and perhaps lack of conditioning. You can see he's fallen well back. But it is all about Philip Ingebrigtsen stretching out now. His lead is about 15 metres, and this is very impressive indeed. This the final bend, and his advantage now round about 20 metres. It is an emphatic victory. The Norwegian coming home. Look at that. It's the fastest time in the world this year by a very significant margin. Almost 4 seconds. It also, indoors, is a lifetime best for the Norwegian.
Well, I tell you what, talk about normal services resumed. That was fabulous, wasn't it, from Ingebrigtsen? Goodness me. Had a tough time at the World Championships last summer, but he's in fine fettle.
Watching the World Athletics Tour meeting here. Athletics coming at you thick and fast here on Eurosport. We had Karlsruhe on Friday night. Now we're in Dusseldorf, and that you can see is that result from that men's 1500 metres. Philip Ingebrigtsen winning 3:36.32, the fastest time we've seen indoors in the world this year. Okay, he is only about 4 weeks old, but it's still a nice mantle to be wearing.
Well, it's a big personal best for him too. As we go to one of the earlier races now, the women's 400 metres. And Světě Ositic, of course, had a fabulous 2019 inside her. De Witte of the Netherlands. In lane 2 is Tatiana Melnik of Ukraine, and on the inside, Karolina Parlich of Germany. So away they go. Světě Ositic, a prolific racer, loves to test herself against opposition again and again, and goes off hard from the outside, although De Witte chasing hard from lane 3, and certainly De Witte keeping her in her sights there, although 24.62 at 200 I should say, is quick, no doubt about that. Světě Ositic, a beautiful mover aesthetically, has a lovely, smooth, fluid running style, but De Witte hanging doggedly onto her heels and giving a really good account of herself here, moving wide on the bend behind Světě Ositic, who was 7th in the World Championship 400 last year. She is the reigning European champion outdoors, but De Witte gets past her, wins by a metre. Brilliant run from the Dutch athlete De Witte, 27 years old. Well, she was indeed the European Championship bronze medalist in Berlin 2 years ago, 18 months or so ago I should say, at those Europeans, and finished just a metre or two behind Světě Ositic on that occasion. Well, here she is, both of them 27, and in her third race of the winter, De Witte winning 52.30 to 52.49. Good running by Lea Sprunger too in the other race, 52.50 to win the other race.
Meanwhile, we'll switch back to live action, and this is the first of 2 heats in the women's 60-metre hurdles.
Yes, indeed. Swiatkowska of Poland goes in 2, Dudkovic in 3, then Rita Herska, 3rd in Karlsruhe, the Finn, she goes in lane 4. Toby Amuzan, winner in Karlsruhe, the Nigerian in fabulous form, 4th in the World Championships last summer. She's the Commonwealth champion from the Gold Coast in early 2018. Alina Talai, European champion back in 2012. She crashed out of the European Championship final in 2018. And then Tiffany McReynolds goes in lane 7 for the USA, one-time US champion. She's run 8:02 this winter. She has run 7:93, her best. And Ricardo Lobe of Germany completes the lineup in lane 8. Winner in Mannheim just recently in 8.29. So there is the lineup. The first 2, remember, go through by right to the final later on, with 4 non-automatic qualifiers, what we used to call fastest losers. But that, we understand, is not a popular phrase with the authorities of the sport, fastest losers. Apparently it has negative connotations. Even if, by my own personal thinking, it's kind of says it. But we got very strict instructions last summer.
Well, we've been living with it for about a century, I think, Tim.
Well, exactly. Most of the English-speaking world has, but they're non-automatic qualifiers, those who get through to a final. Well,
bit of movement on the immediate left. I'm not sure, Tim, if it was Loba there who actually was guilty of the false start, or maybe she just reacted to it, but certainly...
Well, Tiffany McReynolds got out of the blocks. Maybe she... it was a very blatant one. I'll have to watch it again.
Cameraman's made his mind up.
I think he's probably only doing what the director tells him. That would be multitasking, wouldn't it? Cameraman making those decisions. Yeah, oh my word, not even close. Loba to the left of picture, coming up way too early, and that's a shame. She's experienced, European Championship outdoors, 5th placer back in 2018. Well, I mean, frankly, when a full start is that blatant, you just step away. We saw that happen in Karlsruhe on Friday night, and she's disputing it. What's she saying? That there was a noise in the stands that set her off? That was one of the most blatant full starts I've seen.
Yes, well, the decision's been made, so there can be no negotiation.
Well, Ricardo Loba isn't accepting it lying down, so to speak. Comes from the runs for the Mannheim club. Well, she's
not tonight.
Made a token effort. Huh?
Not tonight.
So, second time of asking then. We've lost Ricardo Loba, unfortunately, of Germany. Down to 6 in this first of 2 heats in the women's 60-meter hurdles in Dusseldorf. Szasalska of Poland goes in 2. Dudkiewicz of Germany in 3. Rita Herska of Finland goes in 4. Semi-finals of the World Championships last summer in Doha. 3rd in Karlsruhe. Toby Amuzan, winner in Karlsruhe, goes in 5. Watch the little Nigerian, very quick. Talai in 6. Watch her 2. And McReynolds, the USA, in 7. Away without any trouble this time. Good running there from Herska. Again, 3rd from right. Herska leading the moment. Here comes Amuzan. Amuzan moving away, moving through, and right behind her, Talai there takes the 2nd automatic qualifying spot. Well, that looked pretty comfortable for Toby Amuzan. Didn't get the best start, but certainly her pickup over flights 2 and 3 was very good, and she was leading by halfway, or hurdle 4, I think. Looks very calm, doesn't she? Hardly broken sweat there.
Yeah, it's only 8 in, but it was a similar story to Karlsruhe. She falls out of the blocks. Not the first to the first barrier, but then once she goes through that transition phase over the first 2 or 3 barriers, realistically, she is very impressive indeed. So here we go. Bar at 5 meters 55. Starting to lose athletes here. All when we've lost another one, but only just. Jakobsson goes out. The Swede took 3 attempts at 5:40, and we thought he'd just got there at 5:55, but he just caught the barrier almost on the way down. Should I say the bar? Yes, it's not only just about getting the height right, it's the depth, and the depth of that jump just a little bit off. Just looking down there at the triple jump runway, and that's already underway. We're in the first round. Nils Eckhart of Germany leading at the moment with a best of 14 meters and 1. Tori Franklin of the United States lying in 2nd place.
So the athletes are getting ready for the 2nd heat of the women's 60-meter hurdles. Very impressive win there by Toby Amuzan. Looking relaxed the first heat a couple of minutes ago, and 7.99.
Well, there is Cindy Rollader of Germany, who was some way short of her best in Karlsruhe last week, where she finished 7th. Remember, she is a European indoor champion. That's going back 3 years now. She just narrowly failed in the defence of her crown last year when she finished 2nd. Here is Christina Clemens. Christina Manning, you may remember her as. She won a silver medal in the world indoors 2 years ago. Luka Kozak, another vastly experienced athlete, despite her relatively tender years of 23, having been competing at this level for about 5 years now. Nuralotta Naziri of Finland. She's an 8:03 athlete this year. Yvonne Britton of the United States, former silver medalist at the World Junior Championships at the 400-meter hurdles before she stepped down in distance. That's not doesn't tend to be the way it works. You get many sprint hurdlers stepping up, but not many coming down. Caroline Kline there of Germany is in lane 8. She the slowest in the field here with a best of 8:32. So just the first 2 guaranteed a spot in the final. Pamela Dudkiewicz, you may well have seen her finishing in 5th place in that first heat. Dudkiewicz, who at her best has been one of the best in the world, picked up a bronze medal in the World Championships back in 2017. She'll be watching this with great interest. Chadwick into Roller 3, Clemens 4, Kozak 5, Naziri 6, Britton 7, Kline in lane 8. So Christina Clemens got away very strongly indeed. Roller starting to come back and also having a good run is Kozak, and those three pretty much in line there. Roller, Clemens and Kozak will need to take a closer look, I think, to separate them. The winning time just outside 8 seconds, but I think we can work on the basis that the first three, in whichever order they finished, will qualify, although it is worth bearing in mind that the first three athletes in the first race were all quicker than the winner of that. Luka Kozak appears to have been given the nod by officials. There is the former Miss Manning. Pamela Dukovic might just be okay here, actually, as maybe the fifth qualifier. Kozak's winning time there, 8:04, so it is only the fourth fastest time so far. So I reckon we might just get 3, Tim, through from this. Roller given the same time as things stand there in second place. So those certainly are the first two. I reckon that the third athlete there, Manning, will go through as well. And subject to confirmation, my guess is that Pamela Dukovic will go through as the 8th of the qualifiers.
So back to this triple jump. And Eckhart, 14:01 in the first round. Now, good speed. Fabulous final phase into the sand. Well, that looked a very significant improvement indeed for Nila Eckhart. Only 13:85 prior to tonight this winter, so she's already jumped her season's best in the first round. Her personal best, 14:13, goes back a couple of years, and she's not even making the board there, so she's given away about 20 centimetres on takeoff from the front of the board, where the board meets the plasticine. I think she's just jumped a big personal best, hasn't she? Well, 14:17, it is personal best. That's really good, and the longest jump in the world this year, and she's got so much more to come, goodness me. There's another 15 or 20 centimetres there at least. Longest jump in the world this year before tonight was 14:16 by Tori Franklin. That was in Aubon just 10 days or so ago. So she adds a centimetre. And here is Tori Franklin, the American. How can she respond?
Yeah, I guess, Tim, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, to put the performances at the moment in some sort of perspective. The meeting record, Gilles Savigny, remember, an outstanding triple jumper from Cuba. Meeting record, 14:84, 70 centimetres further, a decade ago. That looks okay. That doesn't.
Well, back to this fault then. Cole Walsh, one of the big new finds in this discipline in the last couple of years. First attempt at 570 coming up for Walsh. Nobody yet over this height. Several have attempted it. No. Well, Walsh at the moment, by dint of that second time clearance at 5:55, failures can be so costly. Back in 7th place, with 6 men above him, all cleared 5:55 at the first time of asking. He took 2 attempts, and 5 men have now attempted 5:70. None have gone clear.
So now return to the 200-metre oval. We've seen the men's 1,500 metres. This, the women's equivalent.
Yes, and there is a big name, Beatrice Chepkoech, world record holder in the steeplechase. Remember, July 18 in Monte Carlo, 8:44, took something like 10 seconds off the world record for the steeplechase. Winnie Nanyondo, great 2019. She had the Liliukan, was 4th in the World Championships 800 metres, and then 11th in the 1,500. Agzumawet Mbaye won in Karlsruhe in 4:07 on Friday night. Went out in the heats in Doha, though, at the Worlds, the Ethiopian. Kiplanga, look out for her too. Was a pacemaker in Karlsruhe. Didn't finish the 3,000 metres there. But anything under 4:10 indoors is pretty crisp running. So this field of 12 then gets underway. Now, will the pacemakers take them off at something suicidal? Will it be sedate? Will it be steady? Chepkoech loves to go out hard, the steeplechase specialist, the world record holder and world champion, remember, in that discipline. And off she goes. The indoor world record for the women's 1500 is 3:55. Don't think we'll see anything down towards that sort of time, but anything down around 4:05, 4:03 would be very, very crisp running indeed. Chepkoech it is, with Nanyondo in third behind her.
So back to this vault. The bar now at 5:55, and that is another failure. So the German Bokunda Litterbeere, that actually at 5:70 I beg your pardon, that is first attempt, having gone clear at 5:55.
Back to the women's 1500 metres. Kiplanga cutting out the early pace. Doing a pretty good job by the looks of things. The world lead is by Jessica Hull of Australia. Ran 4:04 in Boston 10 days ago. They've gone through 400 in a very, very sharp pace, 62.2. And Chepkoech right up behind her. Indeed, the field in single file, but not separated from the pacemaker. I do think she slowed down on this last lap and a half or so, maybe realising she'd overcooked it a bit in the first 400. I mean, that was world record tempo she went at for the first couple of laps, although you do have to start fast, of course, as a pacemaker to get out in front and get some clear air in front of you, but the field were behind her. And in fact, Beatrice Chepkoech has had enough. She's world class on the flat, we know that, and she's imposing herself here.
So will Duplantis be the first man over 5:70? Well, not this time. That's reasonable to assume that, competitively speaking, he may be a bit rusty. We've got a 6:06 man up against a 6:05 man tonight. It really is top draw in the vault.
Well, it's 1500 metres. I thought that first 400 was rather silly, 62.2. The second 400, let me tell you, almost exactly 68 seconds. So ridiculous differential between the first two laps and laps 3 and 4. But Beatrice Chepkoech, as I said, imposing herself on this lineup now, striding out strongly in front. Mbaye in second place. Exumawit Mbaye, she's a 4:02 performer. Indoors is Mbaye at her best. That was some 5 years ago, though, now. But she's been dragged along here by the Kenyan Chepkoech, and big daylight behind Mbaye as they head down the back straight. She's a lovely, smooth-looking runner, isn't she? Chepkoech, long-legged, tall, long-striding. So, 32.07, that last lap. She's trying to shake off the attention of the Ethiopian here as they hear the bell this time. 3:30 at the bell. This could be very quick indeed. That world best, remember, from Jessica Hull, 4:04.14, only 10 days or so old. That was set in Boston, and the meeting record set by Beatrice Chepkoech herself 2 years ago on this track. So here she is, back 2 years later, striding out strongly around the final bend, and Mbaye trying to gather herself for an attack here, but she stays about 1.5 meters, 2 meters back. But watch the clock, this will be quick. World best without any doubt at all, 4:02.1. Fabulous running from Chepkoech. She is so strong, quite majestic, the way she strides out when she's in full flight. And that, an unpressed, if you like, 4:02.1 improves the world best for this year. The performance from Chepkoech there shows she's wintering very, very well indeed. She is, we must remember, the Commonwealth 1500 metres silver medalist from 2018, but as a steeplechase specialist, she is so impressive on the flat too.
So Sam Kendricks, well, he follows the word Duplantis and fails with his first attempt at that height. return to this women's triple jump competition. And here the relatively early leader. .14.17 lifetime best indoors in that second round. The only athlete at the moment beyond 14 metres. And I think she was, yes, indeed she was, over the board. She sensed that. Feeling the spike plate just slip there into the plasticine and beyond. So Rutger Koppeler has taken 2 attempts at both of his previous heights. Now can he do it this time around? First man to clear Willie B at 5 metres 70.
Well, they're all struggling there, aren't they? Troy Franklin next to go in this triple jump competition. Now, very busy sprinter, isn't she? That looks a bit better. She got a no jump in the previous round. 13.84 was her opener. She's lying in third place. 13.84 and a no jump. Now, that might be a slight improvement. I don't know if she's broached the 14-metre line. As Martin said, only Eckhart has gone beyond, and she's done it on 2 of her 3 efforts so far. Operating really well, Eckhart. World lead and a personal best in round 2, remember, 14.17. 13.83, well, no, consistent Franklin, but still quite some way shy of the 14-metre line.
So Torben Bleck here of Germany. We're now well into the second attempt with Rutger Koppeler there of the Netherlands, having failed with his second attempt. As things stand, it is a 4-way tie at the top. Duplantis, Philippides, Kendricks and Litavera. And somebody grasped the nettle and at least at this height edge into the lead. The opportunity here for Torben Bleck. Well, he's a 5.61 man indoors, so he really is pretty much literally at full stretch. Tonight's pole vault featuring 2 of the outstanding athletes across the whole track and field programme.
We go back to the track now for 2 heats of the men's 60 metres. The big fellows are out in force.
Yes, Alexo Manga there of Germany. Winner already this season in Leverkusen. He's run there both at the short and the long sprint, won both of them. Emre Barnes, he'll be one of the favourites here. Silver medalist in last year's European Indoor Championship. Runs for Turkey, but originally from Jamaica. Takuya Kawakami, Japanese, has set his lifetime best. A Japanese national record in Birmingham last year. That's Hassan Taftian of Iran. Brendan Carnes of the United States. A winner recently in Paris, ran 6.61, so we know he's in good form. He's already run 6.58 over in the United States. Philipp Korgel of Germany, winner in Sindelfingen, and he ran 6.64. That a lifetime best, so he's in the form of his life. Michael Paul of Germany is in lane 7, and Joris van Hoel of the Netherlands in lane 8. So same qualifying criteria as we saw for the sprint hurdles, the first 2 plus 4 fast losers over the course of the 2 heats. We'll go through to the final later on in the programme. The men's 60 metres rounds things off just before 9 o'clock local time. That's just before 8 o'clock if you're watching in the United Kingdom. Menga, Barnes, Kawakami, Taftian, Carnes, Coracle, Pole and Van Gool. Well, we got the false start there, so every chance we're going to lose someone here. I must say, I think, as my eyes are deceiving me, it will be a very close run affair. The officials gathering to the right, out of shot here. Let's see if we can see some movement. Can't say I saw a lot. Well, there we go. Hassan Taftian. There's the man who, by 14/100ths of a second, the Iranian, guilty of the false start. So it's that man, 4 from the right.
Back to this pole vault then now, Philippidis. Can he get over 570? No, he can't. This is being very, very awkward for all these vaulters. They're struggling again and again. Goodness me. They just cannot get it right for some reason.
Well, we haven't lost anyone, despite the fact the computer technology showed quite clearly that Taftian is guilty of a false start. So once again, Menger, Barnes, Kawakami, Taftian, Carnes, Coracle, Pole and Van Gool. Well, the Japanese with his head very low to the ground went into his running. Carnes as well coming through, and it's Carnes who's going to take it. Taftian coming through in second place. They are the 2 automatic qualifiers. Hassan Taftian, the Iranian based in Paris, perhaps can count himself rather fortunate to be there.
Well, impressive, Carnes, isn't he? The Americans have got another great sprinter here. That's his 3rd run-up and his 3rd win of this winter. Only 24. Personal best goes back a couple of years. But I've said on this sort of form, there might be a little bit more to come. We'll see what his time is. Winning that heat, first of 2 heats. World lead is 6:50.
So here we go with Cole Walsh again of the United States. Second attempt, 5:70. Oh, and again he, at his high point, may well have got there, but he just clipped it off. We're still waiting for our first clearance.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
I think we've had 15 attempts at this height already.
I mean, Shaughnessy Barber, a former world champion, failed his opening height. Pavel Wojciechowski, a 6-meter vaulter, normally so consistent and reliable. He failed his opening height, 540, 3 times. It's a bit of a shock this indoor season, Martin, for a lot of these men. I think it is short and sharp, and maybe the world indoors in Nanjing being cancelled has set some of them out of kilter a little bit with the rhythm and competition program, training and competition program they were expecting to roll out for them.
What do you make of that decision, Tim? They had alternatives, didn't they?
Had to happen, yeah.
But they had alternatives. They could have moved it somewhere else, couldn't they?
I think it would have been possibly very, very difficult to organise a World Championships at such short notice. You know, these things are years in the planning. They're not a few weeks or months. And I know a lot of people might say, look, you know, surely you could have shifted it somewhere else, but it's nigh on impossible, I think, logistically. No, yet another man goes down. And Broder's there. Well, 2 failures out of 2 clearances out of 6 attempts so far. Everybody left in the competition, by the way, has attempted this height. Nobody's passing at this. Duplantis had his first failure at this height, having cleared the 2 previous heights just fine. Philippidis has had 2 failures, having cleared the 2 previous heights first time. Same for Kendricks, he failed at this height for the first time. Litebera, first time failure at this height.
The other thing we must talk about is shoes.
Ooh,
just looking underneath the table here to see what you've got on your own feet. Are those legal?
I do feel tall this evening, I have to say. Bouncing around the studios. Here's Litebera. Volkander Literberer of Germany. Only 20 years old, already 3 times German champion. Was 4th in Karlsruhe on Friday with 5 meters 60. This is 5.70. It would be a season's best, and it would have equalled his lifetime best indoors. He's got 1 attempt left.
Franklin here in this triple jump competition. Oh dear. Overextended herself, I think, with that opening phase. Came down like a sack of spuds.
Well, there's the lineup for this second heat of the men's 60 metres. And CJ Uja going in this one for Great Britain. There's Hensley Paulina of the Netherlands, disqualified from the World Championships 4x100 relay last summer, along with his teammates, but they are the bronze medalists from the Europeans the previous year. His first race of the winter, 6.64, his best from 4 years back. Tamir Burnett of the Netherlands, he was part of that disqualified relay quartet in Doha last summer. Best of 6.74. Then Bryce Robinson, good athlete at his best, 6.51 performer. Anything down there around the mid 6.5s is very, very crisp indeed. He played American football during his high school days. Big fella, isn't he? Only 5th in Paris in 6.73. That was his season's opener at 60 hurdles. At 60 flat, rather. Jan Volkov, European indoor champion last winter in Glasgow. Very close to his personal best with a win in Erfurt just a few days ago. And there's CJ Uja, the sub-10 second sprinter outdoors. Disqualified at the World Indoors over 60 metres. The Briton, he goes in 6. Kevin Kranz of Germany, twice German champion, he goes in 7. 6.71 this winter. And then Joshua Hartmann, another man in front of the home crowd, winner in Hanau just recently. Again, very close to his personal best in that one, was 6.70. His best is 6.64. Just to give you a benchmark, the world record by Christian Coleman in Albuquerque a couple of years back is 6.34. I was privileged to see that performance in New Mexico. And of course, Coleman went on to become world champion last summer. The European indoor record belongs to one Dwayne Chambers. That was in Turin back in 2009 at 6.42. And the fastest in the world this year, Demet Kemp, 6.50. So anything down around 6.60 here would be very quick in a heat. Second heat, the first 2 go through by right to the final. Well, I don't think there was anything too blatant in that one. Not as blatant as 1 or 2 we've seen already. Robinson, very keen to get back, isn't he? Goodness me. Looks to be in a bit of a hurry. But it was he, the transgressor. We should see those reaction times come up. Remember, anything under 0.1 of a second, anything under 1/10 of a second is deemed to be an illegal start. And
but we saw that in the first heat. The man was allowed to run and qualify.
Yeah, do you think somebody decided on a faulty start, Martin?
Here goes Duplantis. Nothing faulty about him when he's at his best. That's more like it. We have a man clear of 5.70, and I reckon if we measured it, that'd be a bit closer to 5.90.
Oh, do you know, I was going to say, he boomed over that, didn't he? Got it right, and was huge daylight between the young Swede and the bar. What should he get in this shot?
And the issue is, Tim, I mean, the challenges that track and field has been going through over the course of the last year, 18 months, stretches to a decade. Despite them, there are 1 or 2 athletes who can maybe, almost like Usain Bolt, be leaders of the sport, and that fella in the vault is certainly one of them.
And that fella, Joshua Hartmann, is being disqualified, I'm afraid.
I don't think we saw the numbers, did we, Tim?
Well, that's a shame, because he's only 20. Young Germany ran pretty well to win in Hanau recently, with something very close to his lifetime best, but we're back to 6 men. Ensley Paulina goes in 2. There is the disappointed Hartman. He's taken it philosophically, hasn't he? It's all part of the learning process, I suppose. Get it right. Ensley Paulina of the Netherlands in 2. His teammate, Timur Burnett, in 3. Bryce Robinson of the USA goes in 4. Jan Volko of Slovakia goes in 5. He's the European indoor champion. Watch him in 5. Chijinder Ujo, CJ Uja, goes in 6 for Britain. Kevin Kranz of Germany in 7. Volko third to left. He's got a bit of work to do at the moment. Bryce Robinson got the beating of him, and here comes Volko. Here comes CJ Uja too. Great second half from Uja. Once he built up a head of steam, really strong there through the second half. And he looked pretty relaxed doing it too. That was lovely to see. CJ Uja has wintered well so far. And the time, if confirmed, 6:55, is also impressive. Very close to his lifetime best. It is 6.55, one of the quickest times in the world this year. His best is only 6:53, although to be fair, that goes back 5 years. 20 was just 20, CJ. But,
I mean, you hung the bar, Tim, before this and said anything better than 6:60 is good, and that is 6:55. Very, very good. So, Kendricks, has he been inspired by his great rival here? There's the answer. It's in the affirmative. Maybe, just maybe, this vault competition is catching light. We thought there was something in the water. Perhaps. That was just a rumour.
That sprint time, by the way, of CJ Uja, the 3rd fastest in the world this year. Wow. Young man who I suspect would have wanted to go to Nanjing for those world indoors, CJ. But like everybody else who wanted a big indoor season, having to reset his ambitions.
Last attempt here for Rutger Koppeler. 2 failures already at 5:70. And I'm afraid... Oh, look at it! Look at it! How has that stayed? It bounced up and down. He can show off a bit now. How high does this bounce? 6 inches?
But to be fair, his high point was way over the bar. It was just about 6 inches in front of the bar. He didn't get the penetration across the line of the bar, did he, Martin? So
he gave it a good rap, though, didn't he?
Didn't he just? Torben Blekkerman next to go. 3rd and final opportunity for him. And listen to that crowd get behind him. Second in the World Student Games last year. 5:61 is his lifetime best. This would be a new personal best. Oh, brilliant! Very smooth and fluid, wasn't it? No drama. Just pops over that one. Does Torben Blek, moves up into 3rd place at the 3rd time of asking. So he and Koppeler both battle on. We have 4 men now clear at 5:70. We have 5 others who have a 3rd and final attempt at this height. Talk about home advantage. He really responded well there to the support from the crowd, didn't he? So plenty more to come in this vault and on the track as well.
The women are at the end of the 60-metre straight. 2 heats of the women's 60 metres here. The first 2 plus 4 fast losers will progress to the final. Shaniyah Collins there of the United States. She goes here in lane 5.
Yes, and Collins in fine form in Karlsruhe on Friday night. Del Ponte there looks very fired, doesn't she, the Swiss? She was 2nd in Karlsruhe behind Collins. Both 23. Similar personal best, or similar season's best, but almost identical personal best. So the lineup: Van Horenstein of the Netherlands in 2, Godvila of Poland in 3, Del Ponte of Switzerland in 4. Watch her, 2nd in Karlsruhe, a close 2nd too. Shaniyah Collins of the USA goes in 5, the winner in Karlsruhe on Friday. Yasmin Quadwo of Germany in 6, Sophia Junk of Germany in 7, and to the extreme left of picture from Germany, Beauty Samua. First 2, remember, go through. Well, Head low, Del Ponte pushing hard. They're in lane 4. Del Ponte's going to take this one. And over on the far side, really good late run from Van Hoenenstein. I think she might have outdipped Collins. I think Collins might have to go through as a non-automatic qualifier. Well, she's delighted with that. Is Ayala Del Ponte, and she wins it pretty comfortably too. Lovely looking sprinter. 7:32. Well, season's best 7:27. That was in Karlsruhe in the final, but that promises a lot. Regather yourself now, psychologically, for the final. She hasn't got long.
Konstantinos Philippides here, third and final attempt at 5 meters 70. This fella's been at the top of the world in his best, or at his best. Not tonight though, he's bowing out. We do have more than just the two big fellas left standing, but it is more and more progressively looking as if this will turn out to be a joust between the two world leaders. There is Papachristou. First time we've seen her tonight. Paraskevi Papachristou. She's a better jumper than that. A best of 13 meters 85. She has the quality here to take the competition by the scruff of the neck. But it's not going to happen. The Greeks had an off night. Look at that. Out of the first three. Way short of her best. A full metre short of the meeting record. Jagellus Savinho, 10 years ago. There's always a women's horizontal jump at this competition. It mixes between the long jump and the triple jump. Tends to follow the same sort of programme year in, year out.
Well, back to this full then. The bar at 570. Wall's still trying to get there. Third and final attempt. Oh no, I thought he'd got that. Gives it a heck of a clatter though. Acknowledges the really good support from this German crowd. They're so knowledgeable in the technical events. German spectators, probably more so than anywhere else in the world.
There is Eckhart, the event leader, 14 meters 17, and in all honesty, she hasn't really been tested. Patricia Mamona there of Portugal went out to 14.09 in the fourth round, but Eckhart, you just get a sense maybe getting a little fatigued.
Well, another hopeful then. Third and final attempt for Ben Broders. He cleared 5.55 tonight. He is a 5.75 vaulter. At his best is Broders. Oh, just eases over that one. It was almost a tired clearance, wasn't it? He used every ounce of momentum to go clear. Highest vault in the world this year, 5.82. They've all struggled to get over 570 tonight. The next height is 580, 10 centimetre increment up to that point, and then 585 after that. But Broders goes clear. We now have 5 men clear. A Swede, an American, a German, a Belgian, and a Dutchman. And the men who've gone out at this height: Philippides of Greece, Walsh of the USA, and Aliun Sen of France. Litabera will be the last to go, his third and final attempt. Can he join the 5 men who are now looking at attempting 580, the next height? Duplantis and Kendricks, by the way, share that lead because they have identical cards. Both cleared 540 and 555 for the first time of asking, and then took 2 attempts at 570. Taking his time. European Junior Championship silver medalist back in 2017. He's still only 20, is Lietebera. Remember, the Germans over this last 20-25 years have had a production line of great vaulters.
So the second of the heats in this women's 60 metres. That is Jennifer Montag of Germany, goes in lane 3, winner in Leverkusen recently. Gina Bass there of Gambia is in lane 4, who finished 6th in the World Championships last year at the 200 metres. The two Americans who have met very recently indeed in Paris, Kiara Parker, who finished 4th in that race, alongside here Mary Beth Price. There is Price. Now Price beat Parker in Paris, Price finishing in 2nd spot. Rebecca Haase, one of the best sprinters that Germany's produced in the last 3 or 4 years. 2nd recently in Chemnitz, the former Karl Marx stat in the old East Germany. And here is Alexander Burkhardt, who came 5th in the European Indoor Championships 3 years ago. So, a refresher, the first 2 plus 2 fast losers qualify for the final. The winning time from Aya Del Ponte of Switzerland in that first heat, 7.32. That'll give you some sort of perspective for this performance. Say that's a rather bizarre pre-race routine from Bryce, but Bryce is getting away, but not quite as quickly there as Gina Bass of Gambia. And that was a super run from the Gambia, way ahead of the rest. The two Americans getting well and truly left behind, certainly there of the Netherlands on the far side, but it is Gina Bass there of Gambia who takes it 7.24 by some margin, the fastest time over the 2 races.
Lietebera then, 3rd and final attempt at 5.7. He's waited a long time for this moment. No, couldn't be. Anticlimactic, I'm afraid. Maybe he had to wait too long for that track race to get underway. Probably a little bit frustrated that he wasn't allowed to vault prior to the race. Just get that 570 grouping done and dusted would have been a little bit neater, I suppose, for him. Let him get on with his rhythm of his preparation and his vault, rather than have to sit around for several minutes waiting for that sprint race to get done. But out he goes, and we are left with that field of vaulters. Remember, 5 men who now will vault at 5 meters 80. This will sort them out. Indoor world lead, remember, 5.82 by Kyle Pater of the USA.
So Paraskevi Papachristou has one more attempt to try and atone for what has been a very disappointing competition so far. There you can see the best we've seen so far. Relatively modest, in all honesty. 14.17 Eckhard has led pretty much throughout. So Papachristou should be pretty much a class apart if she gets it right. She's not, though. Once again, that appears to be short of that 14-metre line. Yes, I think it probably is a fair discussion point, Tim. The news about the World Indoor Championships, it has really just removed almost the season's raison d'etre, hasn't it? 13.59, that final effort there from the Greek.
Well, it has, I suppose, but, you know, they're extraordinary circumstances, aren't they? You know, if it had been in somewhere Australia affected by the fires, they'd probably have had to cancel it, so it's not the end of the world. Jonas de Reis. Next to go in this next event, men's 3,000 metres. Quite a big field for 15 laps of the track. Tanaka goes in this one. Hideyuki Tanaka, Yuta Bando. Some of these men have never run a 3,000 indoors. Maximilian Tilworth of Germany is only in a late 8:11 performer. There's a huge spread of abilities here, I have to say. Mohamed Katir is a 7:48 performer this year, the 21-year-old Spaniard. And then the Kenyan Davis Kiplanga steps out. He's run 7:40. That was a couple of years back. He was fourth in Karlsruhe in a very crisp 7:42. Getnet Wale of Ethiopia, just 19 years old. Gilbert Kwemoy, pacemaker in Karlsruhe, and he's a pacemaker here as well, followed up by Berhanu Yamato, who was second in Karlsruhe in 7:40, a personal best for him. Bethwell Bergen in fabulous form on Friday, ran a world lead of 7:38.5 to win in Karlsruhe. He'd won the previous week too in Boston, 7:44, so he's getting quicker. And Salomon Barega should be the last man out. Barega, second in the World Championships, 5,000 metres last summer. And he is there to extreme left of picture in that dark strip. Barega, he's only 20 years old, the Ethiopian, a former world junior champion at 5,000, a fabulous performer. So 15 laps of the track now. How will this one go? Well, Barega looked to set off very, very cautiously there, as Kwemoy is indeed the early pacemaker. He's been running laps of around 31 seconds, something like that. And Barega straight into his slipstream in second place. Bergen in third. We know Bergen's in great shape, and when you've run a race, a good 3,000 on a Friday, and then you come out, what, 4 days later, your legs should be feeling absolutely superb for another good hard run out. So Bergen in third place there, I think, will be very tough to beat. This could be a fascinating clash between the Kenyan and the Ethiopian in second place, Barega.
Just to illustrate the sometimes strange juxtaposition of events in track and field, events which you can see here are happening a matter of feet apart. We've got on the 200-metre oval a 3,000-metre race, which is, in running terms, as long as it gets indoors, that's going to last less than 8 minutes. The men here in the vault will soon move into their third hour. So Torben Bleck still has another 2 attempts at 5 metres 80. Done wonderfully for Wells so far, improving his lifetime best by 9 centimetres. The dying embers of this triple jump. Bavil Kilti, the Lithuanian. Slightly staccato, almost approach run there. She's made a shocking mess of the plasticine as well. She finishes in third, 14:06. So Patricia Mamuna of Portugal, a finalist at the World Championships in Doha last year. She finished 8th. Has been to 14 metres 44 indoors. So certainly when she is somewhere near her best, she'll expect to win this. I tell you what, she may just have done that. Oh no, she's got the red flag. It looked to be her best jump of the night. It will be very instructive to see just how far she was into the plasticine. She doesn't seem overly moved by it all, but that looked a very decent effort indeed. So, Neil Eckhart. It will go down as the best jump in the world this year, although to put that into some sort of perspective, it's a little bit of hyperbole because the year is about 5 weeks old. There goes Eckhart. I think short of 14 metres, but she won't be too fussed about that. She's going to take this triple jump competition. Doing the measuring old-fashioned style with the tape measure. Just collapsing there on her heel at the end of the first phase. I can assure you we shall go back to this men's 3,000 metres very shortly. Here is Armand Duplantis, one of the real stars of world athletics these days. 5 metres 80. And he gets the first blow in. Wow. That was quite magnificent. Now the sort of clearance which suggests he may be capable of going to 6 metres tonight.
Well, Duplantis, very calm indeed. It's easy to forget he is the reigning European champion. Took that title when still a teenager in summer 2018. He's a member of the 6 metre vault in the top, the highest 4 or 5 vaulters in history. And look at this daylight there. He's really nailed that groove, hasn't he? Getting it right now and actually looking by far the best on display so far. I mean, he's gone over 580 there, Martin, by, I don't know, 20 centimetres?
Sam Kendricks, the meet record here, 5 metres 90, and it's always one of the marquee events at this meeting, and look at that from Sam Kendricks. Well, we may be perhaps denied the possibility of these two going cheek by jowl at a World Championships, but we're getting that unofficially tonight. Anything you can do, etc. Meet record, Bjorn Otto's local man, 7 years ago. Surely that's going to go tonight.
Well, back to this 3,000 metres, almost 6 minutes on the clock, and they set off at lightning fast pace. The first couple of laps were down in the 28s, then at 30, and then it's gradually got slower. And the last 400 metres has been about 63 seconds, so not much inside 8-minute tempo, but they are still on schedule with something very quick. If they can wind it up now from mid-race onwards, Wale takes the lead from Bergen. You can see Barega there back in 3rd place with that hunch-shouldered style of his. Bergen right up on his toes, looks very comfortable, doesn't he, in 2nd place as these 5 now plough round. But Wale, just 19 years old, former World Junior Championship steeplechase medalist, and recently ran a very crisp road race down in Spain, cross-country actually I should say, won it in 33 minutes. This is a different tempo altogether. Bergen with Barega breathing down his neck there in 3rd place, and Barega now attacking as they head down. 35.71, the fastest time in the world this year, and it's a new meeting record to boot. The meeting record was held by Caleb Ndiko for 6 years, going back to 2014. 7:38. He's just wiped almost 3 seconds off it as Salomon Barega, and the first time he got out in front, apart from the early laps, was there off the final bend. But he was in a different class, frankly, wasn't he, once he unleashed that famous kick of his. He is a fabulous athlete. World Championship silver medalist last year over 5,000 metres, and he had the beating of this field far more comfortably than the couple of metres or so at the line might suggest.
Well, I'm not sure, Tim, it made any difference to the result at the end, but what on earth was Wale doing? Allowing Bergen to slip between him and the curb just 200 metres or so out. That was a cardinal sin in distance running indoors. Who knows, maybe Wale might have just got a little bit closer to the winner. So, We still have 5 men alive at 5 meters 80. 2 are clear at it. Duplantis and Kendricks. Here's Black. 1 lifetime best already. Just got a bit too close there on the plant. You could see him having to unnaturally check his stride. Whatever happens with his final attempt, he's had a good night. This competition now into its 3rd hour. We still have the sprint finals to come, the sprint hurdles finals to come, 4 of those in all. And we have the climax of this competition, the pole vault.
Nicely poised, isn't it? Duplantis against Kendricks. Kendricks didn't have a great time at all on Friday in Karlsruhe. Finished down the field. Was really out of sorts, but he's found his competition legs here. Maybe another 3 or 4 nights good sleep after the trip across the Atlantic have made the difference. Broders, well, he's had a busy night. Cleared 540 his opening height 3rd time, cleared 570 3rd time. 2nd attempt 580. No, and it wasn't close, to be perfectly honest.
Very shortly we will move into the final of the women's sprint hurdles, but before that, let's wrap up that result from the men's 3K.
Yes, indeed, really good running, as we expected, between Barrega, Wale in 2nd place, Bergen down in 3rd. But it was the freshness and the sprightliness of Barrega that really impressed me there off the final bend. He looked like he got plenty more on the tank. A new meeting record. Personal best, of course, and the fastest time in the world this year.
So we've got 3 Americans in the final of this women's 60-meter hurdles. There's the first of them, Yvonne Britton. Christina Clemens, who actually holds the meeting record here. That goes back 2 years when she set that record. That's Christina Manning. Tiffany McReynolds. They're in lane 2. Next up will be Rita Herska. She'll be running here in lane 7. And as we make our way towards the middle, Luka Kozak. Impressive in qualifying. And here the hometown favourite, Cindy Rolada, former European indoor champion. Remember when she won the silver medal at the World Championships in Beijing in 2015? How close did she come to taking the title? Alina Talley, something of an indoor specialist, the European indoor champion 5 years ago. She finished 3rd behind Rolada in that World Outdoor Final 5 years ago. But here the outstanding favourite, no doubt about this, Toby Amasan of Nigeria, the winner in Karlsruhe. And despite the fact she fell out of the blocks just a little bit in qualifying, she really did look mighty fine in qualifying for this final. So there is the full lineup. Talley of Belarus there in 4, Amasan of Nigeria in lane 5. Cindy Rolada, well, maybe just at this time of year, this might just be a little bit on the sharp side for her. Also, I suppose it's fair to say she's starting to move into the veteran category at the age of 30. So the first of the 4 sprint finals. This, the women's 60-meter hurdles. From the far side, Britton, McReynolds, Kozak, Talley, Amasan, Rolada, Herska, and Clemens, the meet record holder. Amundsen there, fourth from the left. She hasn't met the first hurdle quite as well as she might have done, but she's coming through now. And also look at Manning, the former Miss Manning, now Christina Clemens, the meet record holder, has taken it. Wow. Well, that is something of a surprise. Amundsen once again fell out of the blocks, but Christina Clemens, 7.91, I think that was confirmed now, which equals her season's best performance. She got away very quickly indeed there on the left-hand side. Amundsen starting to come through in the middle, but it is Clemens. World indoor silver medalist from a couple of years ago. And Cindy Roller, I reckon, has just got there and snatched second place from Toby Amundsen. But an emphatic winner. Christina Clemens takes it. Roller is confirmed in second place, 7.94. Amundsen third, 7.96.
Well, Cindy Roller getting second place there, Martin, as you said, by 3/100ths of a second. She was only a couple of hundreds ahead of Amundsen, who is down to third here after a win in Karlsruhe. No, Coppola, third time failure at 580 for him. Cleared 570 at the third time of asking. He hasn't cleared a single height tonight at the first time of asking, but he has persevered. Finishes in fourth equal, unless Broders goes clear, who is faulting very shortly. Torben Black has already set a personal best tonight with that third time clearance at 570. He really enjoyed that moment 10 minutes or so ago, didn't he? Lying in third behind the big pairing, Duplantis and Kendricks, the world and the European champions respectively. The other way around, I should say, actually. European and world champions respectively, Duplantis and Kendricks. So, Torben Black then? No. Not to be. Not yet, anyway. Well, Black has broached new ground tonight. He's added 9 centimetres to his lifetime best. It's been a big step forward for the German. Can't have any complaints. There's some big scalps behind him too. You look at Wojciechowski, Barber, Walsh, Philippidis.
So just one man to go with his third and final attempt. Ben Broders of Belgium. Look at that, he's lived very dangerously indeed throughout the course of the evening. Took 3 attempts at 5 meters 40. Clearance here for Broders would represent a lifetime best indoors. Fairly soon it may well be the duel. Duplantis against Kendricks. Bar, by the way, due to go up to 585 next. It'll be interesting to see if both men opt to take that height. So Broders, third and final attempt, 5 meters 80, lifetime best, if he does it. Oh, he gave it a wobble, but too much of a wobble. He knows it was close. Hopefully he still has 1 or 2 significant meets over the course of the next couple of weeks to maybe improve it again, to have something to build on. Otherwise he's going to have to wait until the summer. It's been one of the interesting features, Tim, of the pole vault. They do come in all shapes and sizes. Not much on Armand Duplantis, is there?
Well, there isn't yet, but I think he'll fill out, and when he does, I think I said a couple of years ago, and he took that European title and had a storming 2018 that he'll break the world record. Not a shadow of doubt in my mind. I think he can take it into a new era because he is very slight. You know, he doesn't have the weight behind that pole, but technically he is supreme. He was vaulting in his mum and dad's back garden in the USA when he was 4, 5, 6. Apparently he used to go and climb a tree, swing around, kick a ball around with some mates, come back, grab a pole, vault at a rudimentary little pole vault setup his father had made for him. And this is a tiny kid. Do that for 10 minutes, go off and climb another tree. That sort of rhythm to his life. He was doing everything, but vaulting is absolutely in his DNA. Men's 60-metre hurdles coming up. We've seen the ladies. Good win there for Clemens in that one. Balnevite, Moore, Duvalidis, Traber, Zikier. There's Moore. He goes in lane 2, the American, 5th in his heat. Zsukj of Hungary, 3rd in his heat. Duvalidis, he'll go in lane 3. And Duvalidis, very experienced, 32 years old, the oldest in the race, semi-finalist at Worlds last summer. Al-Yuha, the fastest in the heats from Kuwait, goes in lane 6. He won his heat in 7.60. Watch him. Traber goes in lane 4, the German. He was the winner of the other heat, heat 2, 7.70, but that's nearly a metre slower than Al-Yuha. But this is a new race. Zikier goes in lane 5 here, 7.72 in his heat, Zikier. Good athlete, Damian Zikier of Poland. 4th in those European Championships back in 2018. The previous year had taken a medal at the World University Games. There's that full lineup. Balnevite in 1, Moore in 2, Duvalidis in 3, Traber in 4, then Zikier in 5 for Poland, Al-Yuha of Kuwait in 6, Zsukj in 7, and David King of Great Britain in lane 8. King, by the way, 3rd in his heat in 7.77. But Al-Yuha was by some margin the better in the heats earlier on. He's won his last 3 races in Istanbul and Sindelfingen, in the heats and final in Sindelfingen. So the men's 60-metre hurdles then, the heat winners, Traber in 4, Al-Yuha in 6. Away they go. Good start there from Zikier. Al-Yuha, 3rd from left, going really strong as well. Already has a lead over in lane 3. Duvalidis going well, and Al-Yuha takes it. I think maybe Duvalidis took 2nd place. It was pretty tight at the line over on the near side. I think it might have been David King who came through late. Let's wait and see. But no doubting the winner for my money. It was very, very impressive. The smooth form of Al-Yuha on the near side. Look at that lead he builds up. In fact, it wasn't David King. What am I saying? It was Zsukj of Hungary who ran so well. Valdo Zsukj, 7.54. The time for Al-Yuha. And that for the Kuwaiti. Well, it's a big new personal best. It had to come, didn't he? Looked so smooth in qualifying. Duvalidis 7.61, a season's best. He did take that 2nd place. And Valdo Zsukj takes 3rd spot for Hungary. 7.62, a personal best for him too, for the 24-year-old. Bit of a find, this fellow, Martin.
Yes, he won that in fine style. He had quite a significant lead over the rest, didn't he? As we now go back to what has become a duel between 2 fellows who've been chatting quite casually together on the infield. It is to a degree the nature of the event. You see it in the multi-events as well. The men and women who spend 2 days together have a lot of time to chat. Same here really as this pole vault well into its 3rd hour. So Duplantis, first attempt, clear by a mile. Well, passing at 5.85, this at 5.90, it equals the meeting record, and surely we're going to go beyond this. We could well see, in fact, I think we'll almost certainly see the first 6-metre clearance at this meeting.
Making it look easy, isn't he? When it all clicks right. from Wanda Duplantis. It is poetry in motion. It's a world lead, of course. I'm not sure if you said that, Mark. My apologies if you did, but he takes it all so casually, doesn't he? Raised in the USA, but of Swedish stock, and has chosen to compete for Sweden, even though he holds the US record. Work that one out.
It's all very relaxed, isn't it?
Well, they are a breed apart, aren't they, the vaulters? When you think of the stress and hassle they have getting those poles around the circuit from one meet to another through the indoor season, and then for month after month in the summer season, and occasionally they get to an airport and wait for their poles and they find out that somebody sawed them in half to get them onto a plane, or has driven a truck over them, or something else has befallen their precious poles. And they're not cheap, those things.
We always thought they used to be a pain, because whenever we were going on at these buses, and even some planes, they'd end up getting stuffed down the gangway, and we always had to wait 10 or 15 minutes.
I was pleased, I was delighted to help myself, but I don't make friends and influence people.
Anyway, here we go, Kendricks. Can he match his mate? 590, first attempt. Oh, I say.
Well, of course, that means Sam has got to go with the next height if he's to win this competition.
He's saying up, isn't he?
Well, of course. No point in him attempting this height now. He'd stay in second. If he clears it a second or third time of asking, once Duplantis has gone over first time.
Now, what are they going to do? They're going to go to 595 or not mess around and go straight to 6?
Can't mess around, can you? Got to be 6, hasn't it? Place your bets.
I guess it depends. Call me a bit of a cynic. Is there a bonus there for a meeting record? In which case you might just stick it to 595.
Does the contract stipulate what happens when you equal the meeting record, as Duplantis has done?
So the hurdles have been cleared away. We've now got the 2 flat 60 finals to come. Starting with the women. Here is Shaniyah Collins, 7:39 in qualifying, only as a fast loser for this final. She will certainly need to find something if she is to finish in the top 3. Sophie Jung there of Germany. She ran 7.41 in her first round heat. Here is Mary Beth Price, and if you watch her in her start position before she goes into the set position, I've never seen anything like it. Alia Del Ponte, Switzerland have found a good one in this young lady. She ran very fast in qualifying, won her heat. Naomi Sedney of the Netherlands sprung a little bit of a surprise over there on the far side, but here is the event favourite, Gina Bass. Gina Bass, who really comes into this head and shoulders above the rest, a finalist in the 200 metres in Doha last year. There is Maria van Heestien of the Netherlands. She goes in lane 5. So there is the full lineup. Parker, Jonk, Del Ponte, Bass, Van Hoornstein, Sedney, Price and Collins. It's the third of those meetings on the World Athletics Tour. Del Ponte, semi-final winner, goes here in lane 3. To her right, couldn't see her in that shot, Gina Bass of Gambia. The fastest qualifier was 7.24. Those two, the clear favourites. You can see on there, that's Van Hoornstein. So Bass reacted very quickly then. She's already half a metre ahead of the rest, and certainly Van Hoornstein's got some work to do. Clear winner there, Gina Bass. Metre and a half. A country mile in sprinting terms. Del Ponte finished quickly, but she was never up there with the Gambian. Shaniyah Collins finishing strongly there, closest to the camera. I think she probably came through in third place, so the American having a much better run. But Bass, 7.16. It is a Gambian national record. Very, very fast indeed, improving her lifetime best by 4/100ths of a second. And you can imagine when this young lady gets not only into the 100 metres but the longer sprint, the 200, a specialist distance, she will take some beating when we get outdoors.
And that time for Del Ponte in second place, Martin, albeit, as you said, a metre down, 7.27, exactly the same as she ran for her second place in Karlsruhe. So a little bit frustrating for her, perhaps. In Karlsruhe, it was Shaniyah Collins, who she beats tonight into third place. It was Collins who was in front of her on Friday. Tonight is Bass of Gambia. Now, Duplantis. And the bar is at 5.95. Sam Kendricks has 2 vaults left. Remember, he's used 1 life at 5.90. Now, he's standing there to give support. These guys are firm friends. In other sporting situations, might think that was intimidatory tactics, but it's not. So Mondo Duplantis then. Quite a character. His father, remember, a world-class vaulter back in the 80s. Oh my word! Boy, oh boy, oh boy, he makes it look so easy. And Sam Kendricks, to his credit, applauds and just shakes his head as if to say, what can you do against this sort of genius?
I think the remarkable thing there, Tim, was that he was as clear there at 5.95 as he was at 5.70 earlier on. There was about 20 centimetres of daylight.
Exactly. Now, don't worry about it too much for tonight, because I think it would be absurd to expect so much. But the world record of Renola Villani indoors is 6.16 meters. That was back in 2014. What, 6 years ago now in Donetsk, in Ukraine. And I wonder how many more years that world record of the Frenchman has got to last. Because look at that clearance. It was casual. He dragged his arm. If he'd bothered to flip that arm, you could have measured the distance between the Swede and the bar, and it would have been surely 15, 20 centimetres.
Well, that's 6.5, 6.10, isn't it? I know clearly when you raise the bar another 10 centimetres, there becomes a different sort of mental edge to the challenge, but the reality is that there is, as you say, 10, maybe even 15 centimetres there. That
was just astonishing. And Sam Kendricks there, very philosophical.
So confirmation of that result. Gina Bass, 7.16, national record for Gambia. Alia Del Ponte, well, she put in a fine performance here, but she was second class in comparison to the champion. But still, I reckon Switzerland have found a good in there, and the American coming through for third. Much better than she certainly was in the qualifying heats earlier in the day.
So just one event left on the track now. It's the men's 60-metre final. The big fellas, the fast fellas will be out very shortly, but the crowd enthralled by this pole vault competition. Already an equaling of the meeting record at 5.90 by Mondo Duplantis, and then a breaking of the meeting record with 5 meters 95 first time, and with such consummate ease too. And look at him sitting there just chatting away in between vaults. That's Coppola he's sharing thoughts with. In the background, Wojciechowski, Pavel Wojciechowski, a former world champion, looking a little bit nonchalant, having failed at his opening height of 5.40. Hasn't been involved for a long time, well over an hour. So back to this 60 meters then. Van Gool of the Netherlands, he'll be in lane 1, fourth in his heat. He got through as a non-automatic qualifier. Robinson of the USA, Bryce Robinson, 6.66, his season's best. He goes in 8. And then Barnes, Emre Zafer Barnes of Turkey. He gets lane 2. Korukel of Germany. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right. Philipp Korukler, maybe, of Germany gets lane 7. Taftian, who we thought perhaps should have been disqualified from his heat, but clearly the Iranian gets through here perfectly okay. Was second in his heat and a season's best of 6:64. He's in 3. Brandon Carnes, winner of heat 1 in 6.61, is in lane 6. Jan Volko of Slovakia, European indoor champion, goes in lane 4. And CJ Uja, the quickest of all of them, goes in lane 5. Is beautifully poised, the Slovakian Volko, so consistent against CJ Uja, who ran a supreme 6.55, easily the quickest in his heat. Uja's lifetime best 6:53, by the way, goes back 5 years. He has a gold medal from those World Championships in London in 2017, remember that? Britain winning the sprint relay, defeating the USA, and the Jamaica, of course, couldn't finish with Usain Bolt going down injured. But I know a lot of CJ Uja's teammates up at Enfield and Haringey will be watching this one, along with his coach, Jonas Twire Dudu. Prefers to be known as CJ, apparently, because everybody gets his name wrong, including me, so Chijindu is the way it looks to be pronounced. Volko in 4, Uja in 5, the men's 60 metres final. Good start from Uja, very good start too from Volko, and Uja moving clear now, and he's going to take this one, or is he? Yes, he's well clear. Brandon Carnes coming through, might have taken second place, 6:53, and CJ Uja, the Briton, wins and equals his lifetime best, if that is confirmed. And at the age of 25, that is a timely return to good form. Was that a little wince then? I hope he's not feeling anything.
He's had all sorts of injury problems, hasn't he, over the years? And he's one of these athletes, when he's fit and when he gets a decent stretch of races, he can be very, very good. And that is certainly the way he appears here. Beginning to slow down as he got to the end there. Look, crashing into the mats at the end. Maybe that is what caused the problem.
6:53 confirmed for CJ Uja, equal.
Well, he is human. Well, that does hand an opportunity, perhaps a slightly unlikely one, to Sam Kendricks. It does go to show that the moment that bar is raised, and particularly I'm sure that even to men of this quality, when they see 6, the mindset maybe just shifts a little bit. Because with that previous clearance, he was well clear of 6 metres. With all the great barriers that exist in sport, we talk about 2 hours, don't we, for the marathon? So many others in other sports. 16 a round of golf to the best blokes. The vaulters, it is 6 metres.
Do you know how many men in history have broken 6 metres indoors, Martin? I know you want to know this.
Indoors?
Indoors.
I shall say 6.
10.
It's not bad.
But neither of these two ever before. The Villanese world record 6:16, Bubka of course 6:15, Steve Hooker 6:06. So Lavillenie and Bubka right out there, ahead of the pack. But nobody in recent years has got over 6 metres. No. That didn't look really close, actually.
Snatches the athlete's bib off his back.
Well, he ripped it off for looking rather uncomfortable. I wonder if one of the pins actually pricked him or something, because, yeah, he's ripped that off. He's got 1 attempt left, of course. Duplantis has 2. Kendricks, if you just joined us, used 1 life, failing at 5.90. He's now used 1 at 6 metres. Duplantis, meanwhile, in the lead, had cleared 590 first time, 595 first time for a meeting record, and has had one failure at 6 meters. But this is quite some contrast to the competition in Karlsruhe on Friday, which was very, very lackluster. I think it was 1 in 570. This is stands in complete contrast. And you know, you've got guys like Bleck of Germany setting a personal best in third, 570. Koppelaar of the Netherlands setting a personal best in fourth, 570. Broder's fourth equal as well, 570. It's been a nice contest.
Pretty sprinting, Tim. We've seen CJ Ochijundu-Uja, who we know comes and goes. Injury causes its issues. There you can see the points contribution to the
you get
indoor tour.
You get 10 points for first place, 7 for second, 5 for third, and 3 for fourth in the indoor circuit. So CJ putting himself up there at the moment. On the evidence we've seen so far, Martin, I would say he has got this vault in him. He's had 8 vaults so far, Duplantis, so not enough to really fatigue him as yet.
Yeah, Mr. Kendrick's there just putting one of the officials right on something. As you say, this fella has 2 more attempts if he needs them. Kendrick's down to his final life.
So Mondo Duplantis then, still only 20 years old. World Junior Champion and European Senior Champion back in 2018. World Championship silver medalist just last October. Coached by his father Greg, who was a great vaulter in the 80s and 90s. His personal best actually was 580 back in 1993. Second attempt at 6 meters. One more name gets added to that list of men who have broken 6 meters indoors in the pole vault, and it's this young man, of course, Mondo Duplantis. New Swedish record indoors, of course, for what it's worth. He's already set a world-leading performance with that clearance of 595. Last time 6 meters was cleared indoors was Piotr Liszek back in February 2017 in Potsdam. The pole setting a national record of 6 meters exactly. But a lot of the big performances were before 2000 in the pole vault. Gataulin of Russia, Tarasov of Russia.
And Tim, because of the strength of vaulting over the course of the last 2 decades in Germany, this has always been the marquee field event, possibly the marquee event, full stop, at this meeting, year after year after year. So the first time we've seen 6 meters here, that a landmark, and there have been the world's best on a perennial basis coming here trying to crack it.
Yeah, and this really does set the indoor season alight, doesn't it, for the vaulters. Brilliant stuff from Duplantis. It is the most demanding event. They need everything, speed and power. Wonderful gymnastic ability, spatial awareness. The coordination required is unlike any other discipline.
You need a bit of ticker as well in this event.
You what?
You need a bit of ticker. You need a bit of bottle, don't you?
You do. Although that's a very thick cushion they land on. Only saying that to provoke the vaulters watching and listening. Of course you do. And you do just occasionally see misfortunes. Those poles snap occasionally. People land awkwardly. final, second attempt at 6 meters and the final attempt of the contest for Sam Kendricks, unless he goes clear.
So Kendricks, can he keep the competition alive? Third and final attempt. No. So Duplantis is the winner. He sets a meeting record of 6 meters. Just one unanswered question. Will he continue, or is that it?
Well, if ever Sam Kendricks needed an incentive to go back into his training and focus and persevere, he's received one tonight. The Olympic bronze medalist back in 2016, that's when he really came to the fore. And he won the World Championships in 2017. He won the World Championships last summer, beating Duplantis when it really mattered in the biggest meet of the year. But there's a sort of irresistible force behind the career and the career curve, the advancement of Mondo Duplantis, which has been continued here tonight. Ever smiling Sam Kendricks, really delightful fella. Wherever you meet him, he's one of those athletes who is well, a genuine superstar of the sport, and yet such a delight to chat to in any hotel foyer or in any situation, actually. Very giving. So what does Mondo Duplantis now go for, Mark? He's done 6 meters. The European record is the world record. No point in moving up to 6:17, surely. What do you think? That would be the world record, incidentally.
Well, the first observation is a little bit of a cop-out on my part, but I'm not too sure. He's sure himself, is he? Oh.
Is he going to vault on at all? Is he going to vault on at all? Philippidis there, bottom of picture. An interested spectator of this.
Yep, I think he's back, isn't he?
Well, I'm just trying to see something
putting
between...
it up to 6 meters 17.
I know, I'm just trying to think of something significant between 6 meters and the world record of 6:16, or what would be a new world record of 6:17, that might be substantial enough for him.
No, he's going straight up to it. World record attempt to round off the evening.
Well, we had a world record in a world under 20 record, I should say, in Karlsruhe on Friday from Yaroslava Mahuchik of Ukraine. She set a national record and a world under 20 record of 2:02, 2 meters and 2 in the high jump. I think it's her third national record of the winter. But tonight, oh boy, look at that. Tantalizing. But it's a long way above 6 meters. I'd like to see that 6 meter vault again. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could drop that in just so we can get an indication of how clear he was at 6 meters. But just to remind you of some of the great performances this evening. A fabulous shot put by Mihailovic of Croatia. A national record of 21:52 in the men's shot. So the climax of the meeting, has it been reached already with that 6 meter vault for Mondo Duplantis? Or is there more to come? He's had the bar moved up to a world record of 6:17. He cleared 6 meters the second time of asking. But Martin, his clearances at 580, 590 and 595, all of those first time, and then a second time clearance at 6 meters when it happened, they've all been by massive margins. I mean, he was clearing 590, 595 by what looked like 15 or 20 centimeters. So this is not an outrageous gesture by Duplantis. This is not unrealistic, I feel, in light of the way he's been vaulting.
Yeah, I think he's changed pole, hasn't he? So there you go, he's just getting Getting things set up. Getting everything absolutely right to give himself the best possible opportunity.
Boy, oh boy, come Tokyo, who'd you put your money on between those two? Little doubt that if they stay fit through this 2020 summer coming at us, they will be there battling it out, battling out the medals in Japan.
This event getting very close to 3 hours old now.
That's incredible, isn't it?
We started at 6:30 local time. That's 5:30 if you're watching in the UK. The clock is on. So if he chooses to take them, he does have 3 attempts.
The official start list, by the way, I love this. The official start list has the height progression list, so to speak. It goes 540, 555, 570, 580, 585, and it stops at 590, the meeting record.
Is that Jens Peter Herold too from the right?
Peter?
Jens Peter Herold?
Oh, no, I don't think so. No. Slight likeness, I know, to the East German 1500 metre runner.
I'm just going to have a look on my phone.
Many years back. Do you know, it's really refreshing, isn't it, that Duplantis is not a massive pack of muscle. He's not one of these guys with muscles on his muscles, so to speak. It shows that any youngster can attempt this event, albeit a lot of technical issues to be mastered, irrespective of their build. And he's a lot more solid now than he was a couple of years ago. And he is filling out. But there's so much more to it than just oodles of muscle, tons of muscle. So a little instruction there from Mondo Duplantis to the announcer on the infield. Maybe asking the crowd to get behind him. As and when. Right, the world record is 6:16 by Renaud Lavillenie, set back in Donetsk in 2014. This bar is at 6:17. He has 3 attempts if they're needed. Now, Lavillinie's vault was on the 15th of February 6 years ago, so just shy of its 6th birthday. First attempt. A lot of acceleration into the bar. That wasn't a bad attempt. That wasn't a bad attempt. And he's not downhearted about it, is he? I think he's probably, Martin, slightly reinforced by how close he was to 6:17 there.
Yeah, he caught it on the way up, didn't he, if anything? Now, I guess the issue now is he going to have another crack?
Absolutely got to be on top of it psychologically in the vertical jumps. Unique in that aspect over any other track and field discipline. You've got to be on top of it. Jeff Hartwig to the extreme right of picture there, by the way, in the green long sleeve top.
He was a 6 metre man, wasn't he?
Jeff Hartwig, I'm just checking. Jeff was a 6 metre vaulter indoors himself.
2002.
In Donetsk, 2002, yeah. Jeff, of course, is a coach and agent to some of the vaulters on the circuit. It seems like an ever-present when there's a big vault competition going on.
Doesn't age a lot either, does he?
No, you're right, actually. I didn't realise I hated him for that. Whatever he's on, I'll have some. What's going on in that mind? Is he convincing himself he can do it? Is he thinking, I've got to keep going to entertain the crowd. I've got 2 attempts left.
Well, we do have a couple of minutes to chat. Go through, I mean, name me your three best vaulters of all time, Tim.
Oh, no. Well, Bubka is the outstanding number 1. Was he 5 times world champion, Bubka? Sergei Bubka of Ukraine. My 5 top vaulters, my 3 top vaulters of all time, Martin. I guess Sergei Bubka, because he set so many world records. Was it 35 world records?
It was something like that.
I think it was 16 indoor and 15 out. No, my maths is letting me down now.
And he was manipulating the record as well, wasn't he?
It was
in terms of what I'm saying is it was a centimetre at a time.
And everybody said that was to get the shoe company bonuses. I mean, perish the thought. Bubka, I guess Lavillenie, because he's the out-and-out world record holder with that 6:16. And then after that, you got to go down the list and look for somebody who maybe was a really significant barrier breaker. You know, if you mention a third name and you miss somebody out from the history of the event.
Would you put Duplantis in there? Given what he might soon be?
No, I think because of his potential, you can't say he's in the 3 greatest vaulters ever. I think he will undoubtedly be in the top 3 in a year or 2. But go on, who's yours? Who's your third choice then? If you agree with Bubka and Lavillenie, put you on the spot.
Well, I always had a soft spot for Rocket Brits because he was as mad as a bag of spiders, but and a wonderfully talented man who never quite realised his full potential in my view, but he was in his pomp, and I'm talking it's 25 years ago now that Rocket Brits was clearing 6 metres and 6 metres more. But I mean, there were a number of outstanding French vaulters. Pierre Quinon, Thierry Vigneron.
He speaks highly of you as well, Rocket Brits, apparently.
No, he's a lovely fella.
Right,
really is. Tremendous athlete. Superb physical specimen, great technician.
He was huge.
Incredible, incredible work ethic. But you almost had to put your arm around him every now and again, because you just got a sense that there was just a little chink of vulnerability about his psyche at times. But I don't think he ever quite fulfilled his potential, which in itself I think is a compliment when you consider he did go to, I think it was 6:03. I think his best was in Cologne off the top of my head, outdoors. Being a South African, I don't think he jumped much indoors because, of course, the best weather during February, March, April for a vaulter was always outdoors in South Africa, so he didn't jump too much indoors.
Second attempt then.
Right, first crack was impressive. Gave a hint that maybe with a second or a third he might just do it. He's already got the first ever 6 metre vault at this meeting under his belt, which in itself is a rare achievement because it is a marquee event year in, year out here in Dusseldorf. Now, world record, can he do it? Oh, I say! He got everything but the palms of his hands over it. How close was that?
Now he's going to believe, if there was any shred of doubt in his mind going for that one, he will believe it on this third attempt, surely. Oh. And the crowd sense it too. It's on. Doesn't mean it'll happen. But that was, if you could mark it, you'd say 19 out of 20 for that. Oh.
He left his right hand behind. Caught it a little bit, didn't he? Not enough to dislodge it. It's the inside of the right elbow.
I mean, he gave it a clatter on the way up, but his centre of gravity was way over it. That's the really significant thing, and he'll hopefully have seen that replay on the screen in the stadium. Now watch this. Yeah, his centre of gravity is way over it. It is only a matter of time.
And I don't think that earlier knock, as clear as it was not going to dislodge the bar. It was the inside of the right elbow.
You're right. Oh, you're right.
Which has cost him.
I think this lad, give him 3 or 4 years, he'll be vaulting 625, 630.
If you are tuning in and expecting to see the snooker, it will follow this, but I'm sure you won't mind watching what might be a little bit of athletics history. One more attempt at the world pole vault record.
So there's the monitor inside the arena in Dusseldorf at this indoor meeting, indicating that Duplantis has a third attempt to come at 6 meters 17, a new world indoor record in the vault, the pole vault. There he is, Mondo Duplantis. His first attempt was good. His second attempt was very, very close indeed. He has the competition won. He's put away the double world champion, Sam Kendricks. Kendricks, by the way, is the second highest vaulter in history outdoors, behind Bubka with 606. And Martin, you and I were talking earlier about who would be the top 3 vaulters in history on for their, I don't know, for a number of reasons. Bubka, I think, has to be. He has the world outdoor record and so many world titles and Olympic titles, and I think La Villani, because he has that world indoor record. But after that, who's the next most bemedaled or most famous vaulter of all time?
I guess if you're almost looking for a tiebreaker, Tim, you've got to look at Olympic champions, haven't you?
Well, you have Steve Hooker, you know, won in 2008 in Beijing. He was special. He dominated for a 3 or 4 year period. But there's been plenty of world champions who haven't really maintained the consistency that I think deserves a mention in, we'll call it our top 3 for now. Jean Galfion of France, of course, Olympic champion in 2000, I think, wasn't he? Was he 2004, Athens? God, dear, I'm letting myself down now.
And the French champions, Pierre Quinon. Was that 1984, I think, wasn't it? Los Angeles.
It was the first man over 6 meters was Bubka, wasn't it? He was there long before anybody else, I think. You know, Raphael Holzstepper of Germany. He's 30th in the world all-time list, in fact lower than that. But he was a world champion back in the day.
Jean Galfion won an Olympic title. Was that Atlanta, 96?
Thierry Vigneron, you mentioned already. That's his mum, by the way. That's Mondo Duplantis' mum, the blonde lady in the crowd. So third attempt coming up then for Mondo Duplantis, with the bar at 6 meters 17. He was World Junior Championship bronze medalist back in 2016. He was only 16 years old. World Youth Champion in 2015. European Junior Pole Vault Champion in 2017. European Senior Champion the following year at the age of 18 in Berlin. And he took the World Junior title, or he retained the World Junior title, I should say, that same summer. Here we go, third and final attempt, 6:17, world record attempt. No, not as good as the second. The middle one was the better of the 3. Well, that does round things off in Dusseldorf. We've really enjoyed a fabulous athletics meeting here tonight. Wonderful climax with the vaulting of Mondo Duplantis. Plenty more to come from this young man, indoors and outdoors this year. But from Martin Gilling and myself, Tim Hutchings, many thanks for joining us for these last 2.5 hours. Hope you've enjoyed it too. It's been a wonderful night's track and field from Dusseldorf, and from everybody here at Eurosport. Bye-bye.